Jayne works for a small children's charity in Wolverhampton and would like to talk to you tonight about the pursuit of perfection. So please put your hands together, give us some cheers, give us some whoops, stamp your feet. It's Jayne, grow everybody!
Perfection. What could be better? But the pursuit of perfection, how good is that? Could I have a show of hands? Who here would identify themselves as a perfectionist? Quite a few. And second question, who would think of perfectionism as a positive trait to have? Hands up, please. Oh, far fewer. So we've got a lot more perfectionists than we have people who are happy about it. I hear you. Hopefully this will speak to you then. Of course, it's not an either or. It's more of a question of degrees, really, a spectrum. So if this stage were the perfectionist spectrum, I'm going to designate this as the low end. Here I am on 0 perfectionism. Devil may care, in fact. I've been here as a child. I had no concept of perfect. I did what I wanted to do. Well, if Mum and Dad said it was okay, of course, I wasn't that much of a devil, but I did what I liked. If I liked it, I did it more. If I was good at it, I did it all the more. If it was something I wasn't so keen on, I'd get it out of the way, almost try to get it, not have to do it if I could. I didn't care. As I got slightly older, a teenager, I found I did care about a lot more things. Everything from my homework to my hair. I had this tendency to want things just so. By the time I was at uni, particularly by the time I was taking my finals, I was putting myself under enormous pressure to get things just right. There were no coursework marks for me. It was all on those final exams. I had to do everything to make sure I'd got it all covered. I could leave nothing to chance. Listen to those words, all or nothing. It's no wonder that I had a mini meltdown quite early on, about my 4th or 5th final exam. Got up, walked out, found wandering around by a tutor that took me to the health centre. And I literally did the rest of my exams in the health centre with people with glandular fever and whatnot, just in case I stressed out again. I didn't. I got through and I got a decent degree. But maybe I'd have got a better one if I'd have just been a little bit easier on myself. But no, I upped it another notch. A little bit later on in my 20s, I had my first child. Now I really had got an excuse to think life or death depended on my efforts. Was he gaining enough weight? Was I feeding him properly? Was I giving him enough stimulation? Had he got enough words in his vocabulary? I have no idea why I did that and stifled the joy out of everything. Maybe it was some kind of quest for peace of mind. If I did my best all the time, then nothing would go wrong. But peace of mind is pretty far away from how I felt most of the time through those years. And the only thing that did give me peace or joy or relief was when life itself pierced through my little perfect potential. I remember clearly my son trying to take his first steps. I could see he was cooking something up. He was hanging onto the sofa and he was looking like he was going to try and get to the armchair on his own, unaided. And he started wobbling away and I thought, I've got to stop him from falling. But I stopped myself and he did make it those few seconds. And the look on his face, I'll never forget. And my feeling too, it was pure joy. Because the big things in life, and certainly the best ones, are far beyond our control, certainly planning and preparation. But a bigger wake-up call was around the corner. Sadly, that same little tot that was taking his first steps there, he was diagnosed with a very serious condition in his teens, out of the blue. And only a long and very complex operation could help. There was definitely going to be some impairment after it, possibly severe impairment. and possibly a lifetime of more operations, if we were lucky. The night before that operation, I would have done anything to have some influence on the outcome. But of course, there was nothing I could do. I was completely powerless. All I could do was just know that I would support him no matter what. Well, it turned out that the surgeon was brilliant. The surgery was a major success. He came through it. He only had one more operation after that. He was left with some impairment. But the amazing grace with which he deals with that makes it not an imperfection, but part of why he is such a great person. And I think it helped me to shake me out of that preposterous, pretentious idea that my efforts could change the results of things. So I like to think of myself now as a recovering perfectionist. I'm not out of the woods yet, I still have tendencies, but most of the time I try to shape myself into thinking good enough is exactly that. What about you? Where would you place yourself on my spectrum of perfectionism? Devil may care square, perhaps, at the very beginning? If so, I envy you. I'm heading back there one day. I really, truly mean to get back there again when I'm an old lady and I don't care about anything. Would you be in the middle? Conscientious, reliable, attention to detail, taking care of business? Or do you recognise that sharp end? Do you have those sleepless nights, that stressed out of your skull feeling, maybe trying to control something that is really beyond your control? But I'm giving perfectionism quite a bad rap here. For the last part, I'm going to look at whether it has any rewards. For this bit, I'd like you to imagine, if you can, that I am an extremely successful business person, along the lines of an Alan Sugar, or a Richard Branson, or Anita Roddick. She founded The Body Shop. She made a few natural products at her kitchen table and went on to create a household name and millions. If I were such a person, and I'd like some audience participation here, please, where would you plot me on this spectrum? So hands up or shout out. Would anybody go for lower, the low end? Who? Low end, quite a few. Higher, anybody for the sharp end? Who would say I'd be quite a perfectionist? Thank you. And the middle, middle for diddle, quite a few. That seems to be the popular vote, thank you. Well, interestingly enough, I was surprised to read this, but the self-starter type, the type that takes an idea from scratch and turns it into a massive success, they identify time and time again very, very low on the scale. They don't get too bogged down with the details about how they're going to get to success or even perfection. They have an idea and they go with it. They launch it before the opposition does. Maybe they launch and learn, and that idea doesn't work, but the next one will. Apparently, they say in Silicon Valley that they don't even begin to take you seriously until you've had at least 2 startups behind you. Henry Ford, the great successful American industrialist, called failure an opportunity to start again more intelligently. So maybe there is something in it. Maybe they've got the secret of success. It's staying as low as you can on the perfectionist scale. Because the devil really might be in the detail. Because if you get too bogged down by all the details, you might never actually put something into practice. And we all know what practice makes. Thank you.